Time to bring on board our chartists and find out what they make of the market setup. Nooresh Merani and Kunal Bothra joining in. Kunal, let's get in your take. The Nifty Bank, yet again, that 48,000 mark continues to remain a bit of a stumbling block, while the frontline index managed to gain for the third straight day on the trot. What are you making of this dichotomy? And as we were discussing earlier, the heavyweights within the banking space, HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, when are we going to see some sort of an incremental up move? What are the charts suggesting?
So good morning. I believe that we are going through a point where the indices are consolidating, and the Nifty and the Bank Nifty are of course taking a bit of a resistance at the psychological as well as round figure marks for themselves. But I think when you look at the mixture of the sectors within these individual indices, I think they have done exceptionally well. So whether it was the start of the private sector banking stocks, HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, etc., which have moved up higher, then we saw the PSU larger cap underperforming names like SBI, etc., moving up higher. And now we are seeing the other part of the wheel where you have the likes of Central Bank and Bank of Baroda, again underperformers in their respective category, also making a comeback. So I believe it's a very slow gradual traction where you're seeing a lot of the underperformers taking their own time to try and consolidate and move up higher. The charts for larger cap names, HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, are still very bullish. These stocks have confirmed very strong breakouts on their individual time frame charts. So I'm expecting this movement to continue. Hopefully, I think now the next important parameter which we typically look out for is the expiry rollovers. And if the premiums for the next series is as encouraging as what it was in the last series, where we had a hefty 150 to 160 points premium on the Nifty for the previous series. So if we see that happening by the end of the current expiry, I think that would again be encouraging for the Jan series.
That's interesting. Nooresh, what's your view at the index level? How are you, placing your bets?
So overall, the view is we are forming a consolidation on expected lines. A flat formation is happening, wherein 21,000 has become the base, and say 21,600, 650 should be the upper end. And we could spend a few sessions here, and that should be a normal pause in an uptrend. And once we cross that 21,600 mark, we get into the next leg of the move, which could be 400, 600 points on the upside. So for now, this is the range. And in this period of time, we are continuing to see decent enough strength in the broader markets, as well as some of the heavyweights coming up slowly and steadily. So we've seen HDFC Bank make a comeback. We are seeing a Kotak Bank make a comeback. So overall, the structure is positive. Same is the case with Bank Nifty, a sideways consolidation, a flat formation. So a good pause happening, which is eventually going to ideally break out on the upside. So continue to maintain hold positions on both the indices.
Kunal, I want to talk to you about the IT index. Yesterday, banks were the smaller banks are moving, bigger ones were relatively quiet, but IT index was kind of breaking out once again. In fact, we were surprised to see the way Infosys and Wipro both saw, opportunistic buying exactly at the dip, at the morning dip. Dips were shallow, first of all. We were expecting 3-4% cut, hardly came. But whatever it was being bought. What do you see the chart patterns of IT index and these two large caps in particular?
So there are two things. One is typically in a bull market, any of the corrections or dips which happens on news flow gets bought into. I'll give you an example. Divide of IT stocks. I think even Laurus Labs, a couple of weeks back had a negative news flow. The stock fell down from 390 to 365, 370 in a couple of trading sessions, and from there the stock is almost at 440 levels in a matter of 1 to 2 weeks. And we've seen that happening for TCS, for Infosys. These stocks had their individual negative news flow. Specifically for Infosys, there was a news flow, and then the stock has recovered. So I would probably believe that in the strong bull market, this is typically what happens. The other part is also very interesting, because what's actually happening is not the likes of TCS, for example. Is still, I think, 100 rupees off from the last 1 week swing high. But you have other underperformers like Wipro yesterday made a fresh swing high. Tech Mahindra also confirmed that for itself. So you have differentiated stocks within the sectors which have been erstwhile huge underperformers. And Wipro is nowhere close to its 2021-22 highs for itself. So these are the kind of stocks which are moving up higher. And there is a very strong case of a massive built up on the open interest for Wipro in the current series as well as going forward in the next series. So that also is a positive for the stock. So my sense is that maybe the texture of the larger cap names within the IT stocks is changing, and I think if this pattern sustains, we could actually have Wipro, HCL Tech maybe as the fresh leaders rather than the erstwhile TCS Infosys.